Good morning, everybody, or afternoon, or evening, depending on what time you're watching this video. My name is Spartan, and I am back again today to talk a little bit more about Path of Exile. Now, I know I said I wasn't going to do one of these, or another one of these, because, I mean, like I said in the last video, I don't know a massive amount. I was only doing the last one to do a very basic run through the campaign because there weren't a lot of videos about the campaign and the stuff you interact with the campaign, so that in the campaign, so I don't overwhelm too many people. But while I was watching a couple of other videos, and I was thinking about it, there are some things that, while not necessary, are or do come up and are things that newer players should probably know. Again, this is all super basic stuff. I'm not going to try and overwhelm everybody. Hopefully this video will be a little bit shorter as well than the last time. I've got half as many points to talk through, but it might be a little bit more in depth and more complicated. Hopefully not too much. Again, I'm going to try and keep it super basic so everyone can get an understanding. But if I do ramble on again, as I did last time, or I do overcomplicate things, I am sorry. We're going to try and stick with it as simple as possible. Starting with one of our early things we spoke about in the last video, which was skill gems. First of all, I missed something important. Skill gems come in 3 colors: red, green, and blue. Red is primarily strength, green is primarily dex, and blue is primarily intelligence. That doesn't mean they're always going to rely on that. So this red gem here is Absolution. Don't worry about it being Val Absolution. That's another type of upgrade. We don't need to worry about that one. You can just think of it as basic Absolution for the most part. But as you can see at the top, it requires level 68. That's fine. And then has a strength and intellect requirement. Now, primarily, red gems are going to have Herald of Purity also has a higher strength and an int requirement. My character is primarily int and strength, so, Herald of Thunder here is a blue gem that requires only intellect. As you can see, level 68 requires 151 intellect. This minion damage support is another intellect one that requires only intellect. So a number of these blue gems just require a high intellect. My red gems do require strength and intellect because I am a strength and intellect character. You can see this, by the way, if you press C, you can see your character stats up here. So this is strength, intelligence. I have literally 0 dexterity, so I'm not going to be using any green gems soon. But this is, you know, my basic stats up here. So that's the first thing. The second one that we're going to talk about is if you look, so let's hover over Absolution again. Just under the word Absolution, you'll see it says spell, minion, duration, physical, lightning, Val, and AoE. Those are all things that affect this spell. The Val, again, I wouldn't worry about because there's a normal version of Absolution where that word Val wouldn't be there. So like Archmage support is lightning, arcane support spell. So because Absolution is a spell and lightning, Archmage support can buff Absolution. And again, if you look on my skill tree, you'll note I have this increase to lightning damage here because Absolution is noted as lightning. Will increase the damage of Absolution. And I know that seems very, very obvious, but there's a lot of melee skills that are like strikes or slams. And what you need to understand is that strikes and slams are 2 different things. So if you're looking at your big skill tree and it says, you know, does something for slam abilities and you're using a strike ability, it won't affect that ability. So make sure you're looking just underneath the spell you're using to when you're putting points into your skill tree so that you know that it is actually affecting what you're hoping it affects. Another thing that also I can do to help here, when you have support gems that you're putting in, if you hover over a support gem, it will show you what skills you have it can support. So as you can see, Absolution is ticked. That means that this support gem can be used with my Absolution gem to increase its damage. So those are two very sort of, like, it's very simple, but a lot of people don't realize that an easy way, like with Absolution, the fact that it has the minion tag is why I have so many minion attack speed, minion accuracy rating, minion cast and attack speed up here, minion cast, because all of these only affect spells that have will affect spells that have minion in the name, and Absolution is noted as a minion spell. Therefore, it's all affecting the minions in this. And I know you say, oh, but it'll affect all minions, so sure, whatever. But again, like I said, with the strike and the slam skills, and things like physical damage and fire damage and cold damage and all the rest of it, just look. Look at the skill gem, and if you see the words that you're looking for, as in cold, lightning, slam, strike, AoE, although it's noted as area of effect on the skill tree rather than AoE, even though they note it's AoE on the gems. Whatever, you know what area of effect is shortened to AoE is, I should hope, at least. But yes, all of those things will affect, just make sure it affects your gems. And finally, the last part of gems we're going to talk about is the level and the quality. Now, level's a little bit simpler. Gems level up as they get experience. And the way they get experience is if you have them equipped. So they get XP at the same rate you get XP. So you'll see this Absolution gem is level 19. The Archmage support gem is only level 15 because I added this one recently. Now, it doesn't... like, earlier levels are a lot faster to level up. So you can see at the bottom that yellow bar with the two numbers next to it. That's how much experience it needs to level up. So it needs, what, 212 million experience to level up to level 20? Whereas the Archmage support only needs 7 million. So it's easy to sort of catch gems up. You'll see most of mine are all around about the same level because I've been using Absolution since essentially the beginning of this character. I got Val Absolution on a different character, which is why I made this character in the first place, because I've seen a lot of talk about Absolution being a very powerful spell. So I wanted to try and do an Absolution build when I got the Val Absolution. And it's actually worked very well. This is by far one of my strongest characters. Or by far my strongest character I've ever made. I've actually gone to the point where I've started, messing about with end game stuff because I've managed to get to the end game. But we'll ignore that for now. So, gem level is something that'll just happen as you play. And every time a gem levels up, there'll be a little plus sign next to the gem over here. And you can, as long as you have the strength, the intellect, the dexterity, and the level requirements for the gem, you'll be able to level the gem up with you. And as they level up, they tend to do, more base damage and that sort of thing. So they get better as you level them up, and they level up alongside you. That's all pretty simple. The second part I want to talk about is quality. This is a bit more complicated, because quality, as you can see here, this physical to lightning support has a quality of 10%. That's because I've been upgrading its quality. Now, there's a couple of ways you can do that. The first one being these currency items here called Gem Cutter's Prism, which just says improves the quality of a gem. You could use these on a gem and it will improve the quality by 1%. In fact, I'll do it now. So I will use this and the quality goes up to 11. 12. And I'm not sure maybe you might not have been looking, but the top part where it says supported skill deals 6% increased physical damage. Before I upgraded it, it deals 5% increased physical damage. Because every 2% gives it an extra 1% increased physical damage on top of the base damage of on the base supported skills ability. So that's how quality works, but quality's a bit weird. One, because it takes a long time unless you get a gem that is already of a higher quality to actually get this quality up. As I said, you can do it with those gem cutter prisms, and at the end of your ascendancy, when you run the lab for your ascendancy, there's that new gem machine that you can use to improve the quality of your gems. It's one of a couple of things. Like I said, it gives experience, so you can use it to level up gems. It improves quality, or you can re-roll random gems into new random cool gems that do different things. So that's the other way you can get quality. Or you can find them with upgraded quality, but relying on finding a gem with 20 qualities a bit, very RNG dependent. So generally what I'd say is you're looking for gem cutters prisms to just, upgrade gems. The other thing with quality is that it does different things for different gems. Some will do more damage, some will reduce the cooldown, some will increase the life of the minions they summon or the damage of the minions they summon. It's all very... all of them are different, and they recently got changed with the newest Affliction release, because they changed a bunch of gems and released a bunch of new gems. So the best way to know what improving the quality of one of your gems does is to look it up on Google, because I have no idea for the vast majority. I just upgrade the gems that I'm using. I can't upgrade this Absolution gem because it's a Val gem, and again, we're not going to talk about that because it makes things more complicated. So there are some things that don't let you upgrade gems, but for the most part, using the Gem Cutter's Prism on a gem will improve its quality, which will improve its ability, what it does in some way. Again, this is not something you need to do, but it can be helpful. Again, I didn't improve the quality of any of my gems until I finished the campaign. They all leveled up alongside me. But it's something to think about, because the other character I had, the one I was showing off last time, the fire character, the fire slam character, which is now being changed into a different character. I'm changing it to I'm trying to make a fire totem build instead. He's now using all level 1 gems, which means he's completely useless, and I have to go run essentially the beginning of the campaign again to level him up. Level all the gems up. Which is not great. Another thing, now I don't know if this is 100% true, because I haven't done it myself, but I was watching a video from a YouTuber called Kriparian. He has a second channel where he's been playing a little bit of PoE recently, and it's just him playing through, but I like him as a YouTuber, so I watch his other content anyway, so I thought I'd give it a watch. He had a second set of weapons, because you can have 2 sets of weapons in PoE, which he wasn't using, but he had gems slotted in so they would get experience while he was playing. Now, I've never done this, because I just stick with the whole swapping weapons mechanic. I don't interact with. I don't know if it's even good. I don't think it's used. I'm not sure. Don't ask me. But if that is good, if that is how it works, having a second set of weapons just to dump gems in so that they level up alongside you is a fantastic idea, and something that I will definitely have to start doing if I have an idea for gems that I want later on in the game, or just have random gems that I want to level up. But that should be just about everything I can think of for the gems. The skill gems that I wanted to talk about. Quality, level, the stats underneath the gem, colors. Yep, I think so. So the second thing I wanted to talk about, which is something, again, I didn't mention that does come up in the campaign, is Divination Cards. Now, Divination Cards, again, I have bought myself an extra stash tab for Divination Cards because they stack up fast. Divination Cards are cards that randomly drop. Usually, if you have a loot filter on, they'll show up in blue. And when you pick them up, it starts a stack. And if you can collect enough, like this one here, this Boundless Realms, if I get 4 of the same card, I can hand them in to a specific character who is in, he's in Act 4 in Highgate and in Act 9 in Highgate in the same place. We'll go visit him. It is this gentleman here, Tasuni. You can trade divination cards, full stacks, to him for whatever it tells you you can get on the card. Now again, you don't need to have the stash tab for them. You can just stack them up in a stash tab, but as you'll see, stash tabs can get pretty full pretty fast if you're actually collecting items. So I bought myself the divination card stash tab just to make it a bit cleaner. But yeah, as you can see here, if I collect 4 of these Boundless Realm cards, I can go to that guy and hand all 4 of them in, and he will give me a map. Now, it doesn't matter what a map is, but there's a bunch of them. So this one gives you a quality 20 gem. This one gives you a 6-link armor. This one gives you, because it's orange, that means unique. So a unique golden ring. This gives you a unique 2-stone ring. This one gives you a rare 2-stone ring. You can see it's yellow now instead of orange. So that's the color of uniques. That's the color of rares. So yeah, it gives you some currency. There's generally, you'll collect them as you're going through. And for the most part, you might have 1 or 2. But it is worth collecting them because some of them give some very good rewards. And I mean, like, if your character isn't strong enough to run some of the higher level later game things, just doing some of the lower level stuff and collecting divination cards can get you some very useful items. Like this one, Tabula Rasa. This is the item I was talking about, I think, in my first video that I said was good for new players, because it is a chest piece that has 6 linked sockets. It has no stats on it, but 6 linked sockets. And this is usually a very good item for leveling. So if you could collect up 9 of these vanity cards on any character, you can trade it in for a Tabula Rasa, and then you can keep that in your stash, and you can, put it onto early game characters and have a 6-link on leveling a character, which is, I've been told, very good. So divination cards are something very useful to collect, and I would suggest everyone just, pick them up whenever you see them. I mean, as new players, you're probably vacuuming up just about everything you come in contact with because you want to see what it does. But I thought I'd give a rundown of divination cards just because they do turn up. Not in massive quantity. Usually you have to wait until you get to the post-game and then you can really start collecting them in huge amounts. But they do turn up. So the second thing I wanted to talk about was actually the options menu and is the UI. Because I didn't know a lot of people might not check this. But in the UI settings, you can change a whole bunch of stuff. You can change showing your life and mana. Okay, you can't see the life. So if I hover over here, you can see the life and mana that's being hidden by this box. And if I untick it, it disappears. So this just shows it permanently. If this stupid options box wasn't in the way. If I close this, there you go. So you can see it shows it permanently. So you see my mana over here is reserved. 355 of it is reserved for my reservation spells like Clarity. Now you can see how much is reserved of my mana. I don't particularly care about seeing how much is reserved, so I hide it. But yeah, you can remove your aura icons up here, or you can show them. You can show life bars on allies and on enemies, and above me as well. I can always remove that. A lot of these little things I didn't realize people might not look at, because this is one of the first things I went to and just turned on, because I like having life bars over my enemies. Again, there's no damage numbers or anything, but I like being able to see this stuff. So I automatically went to UI and fiddled, but some people might not do that. So if you are new to PoE, you can, because most of these are turned off at the start. So just go into your UI and turn off or on the ones you want. It just makes things a little bit nicer. That's pretty much it for this, but yeah. You can also hide chat and all this sort of stuff. But yeah, there's a lot of stuff you can fiddle with in the UI to make the game just a little bit nicer to look at for yourself. You can have notches on your, sockets. I see most people using the large notch pattern. But I've got mine set to default because, I don't know, I just do. But yeah, so that's the UI. I think the last thing I want to talk about, and again, this is going to be a little bit more complicated, but I'm going to try and stick to the basics. It's going to be a rundown of what PoE calls its currency items, and how to get them in general. So the first one what you get, or the first one is worth looking at, is your Scroll of Wisdom and your Portal Scroll. So most or almost every item that is blue or yellow or orange, so anything above grey items, which are essentially have no stats. So all of these are, yellow rare items, this orange unique item, all of it has to be identified. You will pick it up and it will just say needs identifying. So what you do is you right click on the Scroll of Wisdom, you click on the item, and it will identify the item, and then it will tell you the stats that it gives you, such as, the strength, the increased armor, the fire resistance, all that sort of stuff. The Portal Scroll does exactly what it says on the tin. It makes a portal to town, wherever you are. So if your inventory's full, if you finish a quest and you want to just quickly go back to town to hand it in, whatever, you just right click on this Portal Scroll, it'll make a portal, you'll go back to town, and then the portal will stay there for you to go back into it. It doesn't stay permanently. Each zone or load of the area you were in, I think only exists for 15 minutes if you're not inside it. So the portal will disappear after 15 minutes if you don't go back through. But I mean, I imagine you'll manage to finish most of what you're trying to do within 15 minutes. Right. So now time to look at some of the more complicated currency. So we're going to start on the left, and this is what you'll probably have most of early on, which are your Orb of Transmutation. These upgrade any grey item, or white item, to a blue item. It works on armor. So if you find a nice piece of armor and you super early game and you want to make it blue, you can use an Orb of Transmutation on it. It works on jewels, which we might talk about later. It works on maps, which again is post-game stuff, but it does work on essentially anything that's white pretty much in the game. Even flasks. My flasks are all blue, so I can't show you. But any of these flasks you pick up, you can upgrade from normal to magic. So if you get this one, as you can see, is has increased quality. This Eternal Life Flask was white when I picked it up, but I saw that it had 14 increased quality, so I just used an Orb of Transmutation. The Orb of Alteration reforges a blue item with a random modifier. Now, I would say these you probably just store up, don't do anything with, but when you go to your crafting bench over here, they will be used to pay for some of the crafting recipes. Generally the cheaper crafting recipes, but this is primarily what you use them for. I mean, you can use a lot of them again on like jewels and things like that if you're trying to get something specific. But as a new player, you probably have no idea what you're trying to get. So I use these. I don't use these unless I am reforging at that crafting bench, because then I know what I'm going for and I can just get it. The next common item, not common. So I'm going to skip over some of these because you can read what they do, and like this one upgrades a normal item to a random rarity. Again, it can upgrade it to any rarity, I imagine. But there's probably a reduced chance to get the higher rarities, so this is probably going to just make things blue a bunch of the time. We're going to ignore most of this stuff. What I will give a quick shout out to, Chaos Orbs here, which you probably won't get for the majority of the game. They only show up in late game and in post game stuff. If you are in the normal league, in Trade League, these are essentially $1. These are what most people use as currency in the trade. There's another one up from this called a Divine Orb, which is essentially $100 or more, depending on how the league economy is going. I don't have one of those because, again, they're real post-game stuff. But you'll see there's always those videos of, you know, streamers getting super excited when some super late game, massively buffed up, triple stacked mob drops like 8 divine orbs or something. But that's because that's essentially enough money, currency money, to buy whatever they want in trade. So yeah, I'll give a shout out to Chaos Orbs quickly because these are essentially money. These Orb of Alchemy upgrade a normal item to a rare item. I use these a lot on like superior white gear. So like this wasn't quality 20. I think I leveled it up a little bit, but it was like high quality and had a lot of armor. So I used a Orb of Alchemy to upgrade it from a white to a gold. And it's the best, well, it gives the most armor, and it gives 2 resistances, and I managed to put maximum life on it. So this is a pretty nice chess piece, I guess. Again, I'm not sure. My build is a bunch of jank that I'm just putting together and hoping, but it seems to be working well. So I like these Orb of Alchemies. These Regal Orbs, you can upgrade a blue item to a gold item, to a yellow item. And again, I think it keeps whatever modifiers, or I'm pretty sure, it keeps the modifier it had when it was blue. So if you get like a blue one, a blue item that has a really cool modifier or some special unique modifiers, like these gloves here, that plus 87 to maximum life is like a special modifier that it doesn't normally come with. These were blue, and I used a Regal Orb to turn them to gold because I wanted to keep the maximum life. So yeah, a bunch of the currencies are just good for upgrading items you get. And that's what most of these up here are for. I will talk about these quickly. Orb of Regrets give you refund points for your passive skill tree if you make a mistake or if you just want to change your build. So gathering those is definitely good. And Orb of Scouring essentially makes an item into its basic form, or it's used in the crafting bench over here to so this one adds 3 to this wand I put adds 3 to 75 lightning damage on it because Absolution is a lightning spell. But as you can see, I can use an Orb of Scouring up here to change that modifier by removing the first one and applying a different one. Now, that's the one I want, so I'm not going to do that, but yeah. And the last big ones are going to be these 3 down here. So Jeweler's Orb, Orb of Fusing, and Chromatic Orb. Now, we're not just going to talk about what these do, we're going to talk about how you get them as well. Jeweler's Orb, as you can see, reforges the number of sockets on an item. So, oh, I'd like to take this off. but I can't because I need this. Currently, my stats are a bit skewed so that it requires the 15 strength this gives to wear this. So if I take this off, I lose the ability to put it back on, which is a bit weird. So I can't actually show you. Oh, I can probably do it with these boots, right? Yeah. So let's take these boots off. So we'll take out some of these jeweler's orbs. You'll see this currently has 3 sockets on it. And I can use this, and I put 4 on it. Now, it doesn't necessarily... The only thing that stops it is the item already has the maximum number of sockets. So 4 sockets is the maximum these boots can have on them. The Orb of Fusing reforges the link between sockets on an item. So this currently has no links. Now it has 2 links. Now it has a different 2 links. Again, a different 2 links. Now, I don't need these linked at the moment, so I'm going to stop wasting my Orb of Fusing. But, yes, so that's how you can change the sockets on your gem. Change the number of them and change the links. And the Chromatic Orb reforges the colours of them. So this is 2 red, a blue, and a green. I could use a Chromatic Orb on it to randomly change the colours. Although it's not completely random. This plate mail here is probably the best one to use. This is a strength item. You can see that because it requires 180 strength and no other stats. Like, if I take this jewel out up here, so it's not metafying it. This is also a strength helmet. I do have... So I think it's this one? Yeah. So if I take all these jewels out here, this shield is a strength and intellect shield. You can see it because it requires 68, 85 strength, 85 intelligence. Now, obviously, putting the gems in changes that, because now it requires a different amount of strength and intelligence, but that's not anything to worry about. When you change the colours of an item, it will favour the colours that it is attributed to. So if I change the colours of the chimeric plate here, it will attempt to favour red slots, because it is a strength item. Now, is there still a chance it gives me, even if I 6-slot this, 6 green slots? Sure, of course there is. But it is going to try and favour the majority of red sockets. Which is what makes these so important, because in your crafting bench, there are ways to force sockets. But it costs a lot. I had to force the sockets on these gloves because these are strength gloves and I needed 3 blue sockets. So that cost me 120 gems to do. And I did it with my previous gloves as well because they were also strength gloves. So these at least 3 blue sockets. Because it's going to favour red, I think I was like, well, it'll most likely be a red socket. If it had been a green socket, I would have been completely screwed. But luckily, it came out as a red socket and 3 blue. But again, this costs 120 chromatic orbs. And as you can see, I don't have that many. So, I know what you're asking. How do you get them? Now, obviously you can... sorry. Obviously you can pick them up as a reward. They can be dropped as, normal loot. So if you see a chromatic orb, pick it up. Because it's always going to be useful. But the second thing you can do, and this with these 3 in particular, you can also you'll get orbs of transmutation, orbs of alteration, selling stuff. But these 3 in particular, you can sell items to get. So selling any item that has a blue, a red, and a green socket linked together, like my helmet up here, a blue, a red, and a green socket all linked together, will give you a chromatic orb. Which is why, if you have your loot filter on, soft, nice, whatever, beginner friendly, it will highlight almost every item that has those 3 sockets. Even if it's completely useless to you, even if it's grey and you're like, why is it highlighting this item? It's because you can sell it for a chromatic orb. The jeweler's orbs, again, you can pick them up, and you're probably not going to be using these as much as the chromatic orbs, so like you'll see, I have a bunch of them. But any item that has 6 sockets on it, they don't have to be linked, just 6 sockets, sells for 20 of these. I think 5 sockets sells for 7 maybe, or a different amount. But I know, guaranteed, if you get a 6-socket item, any 6-socket item, doesn't have to be rarity or anything like that, just have 6 sockets and sell it, you will get 20 Jeweler's Orbs. And now, for the Orb of Fusing, I didn't know this until today because I've only just started getting 6 link items. But if you sell an item that has all 6 links, as in all 6 sockets all linked together, it will give you 20 Orbs of Fusing. Again, you can also pick these up as loot, but you can earn them by selling items. Most of them, apart from the chromatic orbs, which again you'll get items that have those 3 colored sockets, you know, maybe 1 or 2 a map or a zone, so you can generate these reasonably early on and reasonably quickly to help sort your colored sockets out. But apart from that, generating Orbs of Fusing and Jeweler's Orbs, you're probably just going to be picking them up. But it's worth knowing that you can sell a 6-slot item or a 6-link item to get some of these if you need them. I think that's about it. I know there's a bunch. So, Blessed Orbs I haven't messed with. Val Orbs essentially modify an item, but then corrupt it. And if an item is corrupted, you can't modify it normally. So none of these currency items would work on it. So it's risky. I don't know if it's good. It probably is, but it's very risky, so I don't tend to do it very much. And up here we've got, so these enkindling orbs and instilling orbs are used on your flasks to do this. So this Quicksilver flask used when the charges are full, so it automatically triggers when it fills up. And this one, whenever I use a whenever I use a travel skill, it automatically uses it as well. So you can put modifiers on your flasks so they trigger automatically when something happens. The life flasks have a bunch, like when you take a certain amount of damage or when you're bleeding or burning or whatever, this will trigger. And the enkindling orbs, I haven't used. I don't know quite what it does. It says it makes them better, makes flasks better, but prevents them from gaining charges during their effect. And it replaces any existing enchantment, which is what the Instilling Orb also says. So I prefer using the Instilling Orbs so that these have a trigger, like an automatic trigger, rather than these Enkindling Orbs that I don't know what they do. The next 3, or the last 3 we're going to talk about, is the Blacksmith's Whetstone, the Armorer's Scrap, and the Glass Blower's Bulb. And all 3 of these simply improve the quality of a specific item. A Blacksmith Whetstone improves the quality of a weapon. Generally, for this character who's casting spells, like, they have a quality 20 wand, but all that does is increase the damage on the wand, which doesn't make any difference to the spells. So it's kind of useless. But on a melee build, it increases the damage of your melee weapon, which obviously is really good. For the increasing the quality of armor, I have used those quite a lot because it straight gives you more armor and energy shield or whatever the top stat is. So this one is armor 851. This one is 1549 armor. This one is 784 armor and 184 energy shield. All of those go up as you increase the quality. So armor is very useful. I should probably do it to all of my items, but And finally, the Glassblow's Bauble improves the quality of a flask, which I assume just gives you more, like for the Eternal Life Flask, it would just give you more life. Or for the Quicksilver Flask, it probably, I don't know, lasts longer, I guess. Yes, here you go. It lasts longer, because this is a quality 12, which has 6.7 seconds duration, and this has no quality, and it's a 6-second duration. So improving the quality of your flasks makes them either last longer or increases the amount they restore, I assume. Or increases the number of charges, because this one is a quality 14. Oh no, so it increases the amount, because you can see it has increased number of charges. because the 15 out of 63 charges on use, but it's giving me plus 18 to maximum charges. So it must recover more life with the improved quality. So quality does, different things for... Yeah, all the qualities are a bit, like I said, with the skill gems, they're kind of... You'll have to look up the skill gem and see what an improved quality gives it. Again, with the flasks, it's probably a good idea to have a look it up as well. But the armor and weapons are quite simple. The weapons hit harder if you're hitting with the weapon, and the armor protect you more if you're wearing it, which is good. I think that's it for the currencies, but I am going to have a look at one last thing. This might be a bit much, so if you're happy with the amount of basic information you've got so far, feel free to stop the video, because I'm about to open my jewels tab, and people are going to be upset. The PoE players, because it's a basic tab and looks awful. New players, because they're going to be like, what is all of this and why? This is my jewels tab. You pick up a lot of jewels during the game. Again, you pick up more in the late game, but you will pick up some during the game. And what jewels do is they actually socket into your skill tree. So I've got one here. This is a jewel that gives me 3 energy shield per enemy hit, and my minions deal increased damage. I have increased poison duration and chance to poison on hit. The reason I've got this is for minions deal increased damage, because obviously I'm using a minion build, and as we've said before, anything that notes minions affects Absolution, because it is a minion ability. So I can pluck this out, as you can see, it's a jewel, and plug it back in. There are a lot of jewels. There are even unique jewels, one of which I have, but I have no idea how to use because I'm not good enough. But for the most part, I would say, don't worry about them if you're a new player. Certainly, there are some ones that you're going to look at and go, wow, this is crazy good. I wish I could socket this into my build. And that is how you do it. You link to a socket, you plug it directly in. And I think I'm not sure, but I feel like most builds run 1 or 2 gems, so they're probably just good to have. But I don't know. Again, this is not a build guide. I'm not telling you what you should do. I'm just telling you what things do and how to do it. So, as I said, there are so many gems. But fortunately, down here, you can search. So I can search the word minion. And then I can see minions have increased maximum life. Not great for me, because I want damage. Minions have increased maximum life. Minions have chaos resistance and a chance to poison enemies. This one might actually be better because it deals additional lightning damage. Yeah, I think this one might actually be better. I didn't realize I had this. So I'm going to unplug this, and I'm going to plug that in instead. I'm not sure if this is doing more damage. No, because my DPS for Absolution is going down when I socket this eye in, so I think we keep that. Okay. Maybe I've done this before. I might have already had a look at this and realized that that jewel was better than this jewel, but I'm not entirely sure. But yeah, so you can socket any of these jewels essentially into those sockets, apart from these cluster jewels. Now these are, again, I've got one down here saved specifically because I'm probably going to use it. So one of my other builds, the one I'm streaming, is a leech build. And as it's a melee leech build, so it's using attack damage and leech. And as you can see, this jewel gives attack damage and also fuel the fight, which is increased attack speed and increased leech and damage while leeching, which is great. The martial prowess one is also pretty good, just for the increased attack speed, damage, and accuracy rating. So these cluster jewels, they go again, on this screen, on your talent tree, they go into these large dual sockets here at the edge. They look slightly different than these ones are sort of basic dual sockets is what they're noted as. And these ones are large dual sockets. So the cluster gems go in here. And what they do is they open up a essentially whole new circle that you can put passive points into. And it tells you, so it adds 11 passive skills. So 11 new passive skills in your passive skill tree. That allows you, so 2 of them are dual sockets, so I'll be able to add extra duals in. And the small passives grant 10% increased attack damage. They also grant +2 to all elemental resistances and +2 to maximum life. And there are 2, one gives Fuel the Fight and one gives Martial Prowess, which are the 2 abilities that I want, as you can see noted on the right side here. So this is really good. These are also very good if you get one that is specifically good for your build. Now, as a new player, you might not be able to recognize them, so you might not need to worry about them. So I wouldn't. But even me, as a new player, I saw this cluster jewel when I think it started as grey, and I used again. You could use these Orb of Alchemies on those jewels. So, like if I take this this blue one here, I can use this Regal Orb to upgrade a magic item to a rare item, and just upgrade it. So all of these currency items work on everything. So if you just find a jewel and it's white, I don't think any of mine are anymore because I've used them all. Oh, I think I did break one. Where is it? It's this one. Yeah. So I accidentally corrupted a cluster jewel before upgrading it, and now I can't interact with it anymore. But that's fine because, again, I'm a new player. I'm just trying stuff out, and who knows. But yeah, so if you get them as white, first of all, don't use a Val Orb on them and corrupt them like an idiot like I did. First of all, use an Orb of Alchemy to upgrade them to yellow, because then they'll have better skills on them. And then, if you want, you can always corrupt them. I don't know if corrupting them after they get to this point actually does anything. Maybe I'll try it out. Actually, let's try out. Let's try out and find out. Let's take a Val Orb. Did it do anything? I don't know. I'll have to go back and watch the video because I looked away while I did it. But, I mean, I don't know. You were watching, hopefully. If it just changed to have the word corrupted underneath it, all I've done is screw it up because now I can't interact with it in any other way. But that's fine. I wasn't going to use this one anyway. If it did get anything, I think that corrupted blood cannot be inflicted on you. I don't know if that was there in the first place. If that's what changed, maybe that's really good. I don't know. But if you're not using Val Gems for anything else, why not try it out? So again, these, you get so many of these, and it feels really, really complicated. But honestly, for the most part, I completely ignored them for the first playthrough. And I completely ignored them for the majority of the second playthrough. Only now that I have a character that I feel is kind of strong, am I starting to, you know, fiddle with skill jewels because they might be good. And I got one that was, like I said, that leech one is absolutely insane for the duelist that I'm leveling on stream, who's already going towards this two-handed mastery node down here. So I'm probably just going to go here and do these two, and then this large dual socket and put it in here, and start putting points into it around here, because it just looks really good. But yeah, so unless you run into a jewel that is just absolutely insane for your character, I'd mostly just ignore them. But yeah. Oh, these jewels here are slightly different, because there are belts that can have abyssal sockets in that you can socket these jewels directly into. I think I spoke about it because I said it was the abyssal mode where you chase the green dot around the map and it gives you an abyssal trove. That's where you get these eyes from. There's also a chance it drops you a belt that has an abyssal socket that you can put these eyes into. Or any of these jewels that say abyss on them. But these smaller gems go onto the skill tree, and the larger gems go onto the medium or large jewel sockets on a passive skill tree, which are generally these ones around the outside. I don't know where the medium jewel sockets are, if I'm honest. Because these are all basic, right? And the outside ones are all large. Basic. What's a medium jewel? Honestly, I don't know. Again, this was supposed to be me explaining the basics. And now I've gone confused myself. But there must be a medium jewel socket around somewhere, or else it wouldn't mention it. Doesn't matter. Stick with the large jewels go in these large sockets on the outside, and the basic jewels go in these smaller sockets on the inside. If you're a new player, that's probably enough. That's probably fine. Again, I hope this helped. I hope there wasn't too much confusion. I hope I kept it as simple as I could. We're not going to go into any further details about maps or any of the other game modes, because again, I haven't done enough of them. I'm still only on like tier 3 maps or tier 4 maps. This character is by far the strongest character I have made in the past 2 seasons, or the 2 seasons I've played, and for the first time ever I can actually clear some content that I feel pretty good about. But that doesn't... I still have no idea what I'm doing. I have stumbled into a half-decent build, apparently. Or the spell Absolution is just busted, I don't know. But, yeah, I'm going to try and stop rambling and say that I hope this helps. I hope I've covered pretty much all the basics, and maybe a few little, tips and tricks, like selling the items, selling specific items for currency, like the chromatic orbs, because you're going to need a lot of those. And keeping divination cards and all that sort of stuff. Yeah, I hope this was helpful. I hope it wasn't too confusing. This will almost definitely be the last one we do. Just because I don't know enough about PoE. It's not worth me doing a review of the current season. I will say it's the best of the 2 seasons I've played. But that's not saying much, because I'm pretty sure every single person, every single streamer or YouTube content creator would agree that compared to the Lake of Kalandra, which everybody hated, this is a much better season. So, yeah, I'm just going to say, I hope that helps. I hope many more people get into Path of Exile, and I hope when Path of Exile 2 comes around, it's new player friendly, or more new player friendly, and allows a whole slew of brand new ARPG players to get into Path of Exile and the ARPG genre. Because ARPGs are a lot of fun. They scratch that itch of you just, being super overpowered and blasting everything and making weird, cool builds. And the more people that play it, the more weird, cool builds that people can come up with. Hopefully, unless everyone's just going to carbon copy the same 3 players that are smart enough to actually make incredible builds. But I'd like to think not everyone's going to do that. I'd like to think there are plenty of people out there who like just building their own random nonsense. Like me. So I hope that when PoE comes out, PoE 2 comes out, it will hit the market and there will be millions of people playing it. Like with Diablo 4 when it first came out, but Diablo 4 ain't doing so hot. And that was mostly just a big marketing campaign. So fingers crossed PoE 2 is just really good and gets that amount of people playing. We'll see when it comes out. But until then, I'm going to simply enjoy playing the PoE, the current season. Maybe the next season, I don't know. We'll see what happens when it comes to the next season. I will continue streaming. Every Thursday is now PoE day, not Saturday. We've changed it. So every Thursday we will be streaming PoE, leveling our Leech Life character, or Leech character, Melee Leech, I don't know. I don't think, I mean, compared to the character that I'm this current character, the Absolution character, I feel like it's going to be another depressingly weak build. But we did get some good things, like we got a couple of uniques that I'm going to be showing off tomorrow, and we did get a 6-link weapon and a 6-link chest, or 5-link chest piece for a Strength Dex character that I'm kind of hoping I just, you know, use to brutally maul most of the game. But we'll have to see. Anyway, I will... it's currently Wednesday when I'm recording this, so I will see everyone tomorrow. You might not be watching it on Wednesday. In fact, you definitely won't be. It probably won't be uploaded until Thursday, Friday, Saturday. But I will see anyone who wants to come watch me play in PoE tomorrow. And anyone else who likes this video and wants to watch me maybe next Thursday. See you all later, and I hope you have a good rest of your day.